Alrighty, y'all. So Ray J sat down with Cam Newton for Cam Newton's show, and they talked about a lot of things. This was a 2.5-hour interview. Full of stuff.
Yes.
So Ray J felt like, first of all, he said that this may be one of his last interviews, but you know, Ray J. Yeah. He addressed a lot of things. So the first thing that he wanted to get into with Cam Newton, or one of the first things, was his relationship with Whitney Houston and the fact that people blame him for Whitney Houston's passing. Let's take a listen.
Did you guys do drugs?
I've never done one drug with Whitney. And then when asked me, did Whitney do drugs? There's certain things you can ask me, and I'll tell you about me. But you don't gotta ask the other question, because you already know it's Whitney. Everybody knows certain answers.
How did you guys even meet?
Whitney was Brandy's idol, so I like Whitney too. Then I felt the same way, just different. Then when I seen her, I went there.
Did the public know about?
They knew about it for sure. They saw us everywhere. But we was gonna make it official the night she passed, bro. Now you wake up to like I did that. Then you watching the Diddy trial, and then the lady's like, "Yo, Ray J was your drug dealer, huh?" The girl on the stand, I don't even know her name. She was confused. Everybody was confused. When that let out is when all the with Whitney came back. Now Ray J's a drug dealer.
People blame Ray J for Whitney's death. I never heard that one.
You ain't never hear that?
Oh, yes.
They did that first.
Literally all the time. Yes, I see it all the time. But so in the interview, he explains it a bit more. He says when everything happened with Whitney Houston, when the news broke that she had passed away, there were reports by certain outlets that Ray had found her, and people instantly said it was Ray J. And then he said 10 minutes later, certain outlets came up and cleared up the fact that it wasn't Ray J, Brandy's brother, Ray J, or singer, whatever, however you reference him, but it was her security guard, Ray. But he said at that point 10 minutes had already passed. So this is something that like he's been living with since then, and of course, you know, they had a very close relationship, so it's something that it doesn't feel good to him to have to live with, and people bring it up and have conversations about, so he wanted to address it.
But my thing is like, yo, when they was saying it, because I don't know how Charlamagne didn't see it, like that's all he was saying for a long time after that. Like, you know, Ray J is very vocal on certain things. I'm like, yo, why wouldn't he just say, yo, I ain't that wasn't me. Like, why would you wait till now to clear it up?
He's never really spoke about Whitney.
Never spoke about it.
At all.
And in respect to our family and in respect for the love that he had for her, I get it. But it's like, yo, you being blamed for this.
Yes.
You know?
Well, I think this interview, what his intention was behind it was, you know, to be able to finally do things like that. But he says in this interview as well that the reason why he's never addressed it and he avoids certain questions is out of respect. But also, he says that, you know, there are certain questions that you shouldn't have to ask him. Like when people ask him about Whitney Houston and her drug use, he doesn't feel like it's his place to answer that. Like, we know the story of Whitney Houston and things that have happened. Right. And also, she's not here. Their plan that they had together didn't happen. He never saw her again after that. So I think it's just more of like a respecting and wanting to stay in his place out of the respect for the relationship they had.
And the wild thing about Ray is, you know, we make fun, everybody makes fun of Ray and we joke Ray a lot. Yeah. But all the big things in his life, he never really spoke about. He never really spoke about that Kim Kardashian tape, because he could have cleared his name.
Damn lie.
No, he didn't.
No, he definitely spoke about that.
He spoke about it, but
damn lie.
I will
not
say,
in thorough, not in
crazy.
full.
I think he speaks about it for sure. He made songs about it and all that, but I do think he's had to be very careful about how he speaks about it, because people blame him as if he's the person that released the tape.
Correct.
So he's been careful. He talked about this in the Kim interview as well. Let's take a listen.
Who benefited more from the tape?
That was probably the worst thing that's ever happened to me. If you look from then till now, the most distasteful when you have a daughter. Now there's victims and I'm the aggressor or whatever it's called, and then we can't work in the industry no more. We can't do Dancing with the Stars and America's Got Talent. There's nothing I was able to do in the music industry. I mean, not in entertainment when that happened. Only anxiety I feel is like, yo, it's so simple. Just tell what happened and I can walk away. And I'm talking to the family. Just tell man, so my daughter's good. I'm in contracts with these motherfuckers. I don't supposed to say none of this. I'm in contracts for what I'm doing now, to shut the up.
And so what happened? What, all of them were in on it together?
Yeah. So, well, okay. So,
because you can't just sell a sex tape to any of these companies. Everybody knows that. Everybody has to sign off. All parties involved.
Exactly.
But the way they made it seem like, the way they made it seem like it was that sex tape leak. When from the door, they made it seem like it was a leak. It was a mistake. Oh my gosh! Oh, that's how they made it seem like.
Well, common sense should tell people that
Yeah.
You know, you can't just leak a sex tape. When they leak it and then they not leak it, when they put it out for mass distribution and sell it,
Yes.
all parties
Have
involved
to
sign
be
off
involved.
on
They
it.
have to, right?
Yes.
That's the like the dumbest trick. That's the, you know what I mean? Because even back on Love and Hip Hop, like on a smaller scale, when Mimi did that with the little clown guy from Atlanta
In the shower.
yeah, they both
ride.
signed off on it. It was just a storyline that he leaked it, but Mimi knew what was up. Like everybody knew.
Well, to the point of what you
She
guys are
signed
talking
off on
about,
it.
back in 2022, this came up again because Reggie did a big interview, remember, where he said he alleged Kris Jenner was the one that signed off on that Vivid. Vivid was the company who distributed the sex tape that she signed off. And I remember being at TMZ and I remember being in the newsroom and there was such a back and forth because you cannot release something. Someone has to sign the paperwork for Vivid in order for things to be out.
I'm old enough to remember the CEO of Vivid doing Vlad TV and
Yes.
breaking down the deal.
Yes. But
So-
Damn.
at the time, sources on that side, on the Kardashian side, still remained that they had nothing to do with it.
And they just don't talk about it.
And that's what he was talking about. He also talked a bit about wanting to talk to, Kim Kardashian's other exes outside of Kanye, because him and Kanye have had conversations just to see what their anxiety is like, because you deal with so much from that because of the way that he alleges, he was made to look from all this stuff. And that's why he says he doesn't say much about anything. Then he also talks about, because now he's addressing his mess ups. He says, he's had issues with his sister in the past. He says, the Brandy and Monica tour came from some of the issues he stirred up when he got vocal about that.
Yep.
But he says that he messes up a lot and sometimes it results in great things. Let's take a listen to Ray J on The Breakfast Club.
I was saying that Brandy and Monica need to go on the tour because this is everything for them. That's all I want to see. Now I was like, Brandy, but Brandy need to headline. And then that all got weird. I don't want no props for it. I'm just telling you, my made the happen from that side, and then it started to evolve positive.
Your mess up led to a layup.
Period. It always does, though. Look at The Breakfast Club. That's why I can't even believe Charlamagne fixes his mouth to disrespect me sometimes. And he's the most biggest hypocrite in the whole wide world, and I told him the other day, you want to apologize for some you did. I apologize for the you did, and then you on my apology. You a hypocrite when you know without me calling in with the fabulous The Breakfast Club was going to be canceled. Without that call, you guys were not on the radio. Then you let me introduce you into the Hall of Fame. So I inducted these into the Hall of Fame because why? Because I was the reason.
Aww.
He's right. People have definitely capitalized off his mess ups, and the Breakfast Club have definitely capitalized off Ray J's mess ups. But Ray J's been going to therapy since that Cam Newton interview.
That was like a week ago.
No, it wasn't. It was a month ago. Ray J called me. He called me to let me know that interview was coming out, and he apologizes because he went, in his words, I went big, man. But this is before we talked. So he did this like a month ago.
But Ray J
he let
did,
me know this was coming out.
He did introduce us to the Radio Hall of Fame.
That's my guy.
He did the introduction to it, and we appreciate Ray J. I know we joke him all the time, but Ray J was one of the first that believed in the Breakfast Club. He was our first interview, and we appreciate. Before the BS crazy, he came to support.
Yeah.
He was our first ever
first
interview, period.
Yes.
That's why it's hard when you in certain situations because
And not the BS interview, because people remember the thing, but this was before that.
And that's why it's hard when you're in certain situations because you've been knowing these people for so long,
Yes.
and you still want to be honest about certain things, but then that's still your guy,
Right.
And that's what
That's what I said
That's
behind
what
the scenes,
me and him
remember?
be arguing about.
Yep. Well, I'm glad that y'all talk because I watched his interview and I was going to tell you to call Ray J because
Ben spoke to Ray.
I didn't know that y'all had talked about this interview. Though I know y'all talked
He hit me
because
to
he
let
commented
me.
on the
He said, "Hey
Breakfast Club
man,"
Instagram.
he said, "Hey man, I just want you to know this Cam Newton interview coming out, and I went big, but this was like a month ago, before we talked, and I was just mad." That's how Ray is.
But then didn't he leave a comment a week ago? And
he said he hated us.
He
2
said-
days ago. No, how long ago was that?
It was last week. It was right before
Yes.
the weekend last week.
And so I called him. And when I called him, he was like, well, you do care.
And then he deleted his comment.
That's
so.
all it seems like is he wants
Ray.
someone to care. He talked about
love
that with
Ray.
his sister as well. So speaking of going
Absolutely.
big, that sex tape, the Kim Kardashian one, it was one of the highest grossing sex tapes of all time. It beat out Paris Hilton's. And Ray J talked about in this interview how people know his P word.
Peen.
Yeah, his peen more than they know him, according to this sex tape.
Okay.
Shout out to Ray J.
Big Ray, not the little one, obviously.
Oh, yep.
All right. Well, donkey today, Sean. We give you a donkey too, man.
4 after the hour, man. We need a man named Khalees Crowder to come to the front of the congregation. We'd like to have a word with him. They say insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. But what about when you sniff butts over and over? We'll discuss.
Okay. All right. We'll get to that
See?
next. It's the Breakfast Club. Good morning.
Hold up. Every day I wake up.
Wake your ass up.
The Breakfast Club.
Y'all finished or y'all done?